Good morning, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the podcast, The Endurance of Labor Laws. I am your lovely host, Lesley Sullivan, and today is episode 81. We are going to take a look at the Superfund Sites in the state of Hawaii, and we will do a little bit of housekeeping as well. But I wanted to give a big shout out to my listeners, so let me go to my list. So a big shout out to Pennsylvania, Ohio, Manitoba, Oregon, New York, Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, and Virginia. In terms of countries, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. So a little bit of housekeeping. The drug that I had mentioned the other day, or the hedge fund manager I had mentioned the other day, I looked that story up, and the drug that guy purchased was called Daraprim. It is a drug that is used to treat infectious diseases, especially parasitic diseases. And the hedge fund manager, who's around my age, he did this back in 2015, and he got in big trouble, not necessarily for buying the patent and for increasing the price by thousands upon thousands of dollars, but he got in trouble for securities fraud. And that hedge fund manager's name, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is Martin Shkreli. And here's the thing, because of his greed, he got investigated. So here's the thing, what he did was actually legal. I don't like what he did. I don't agree with it, but what he did was legal in terms of purchasing the patent for a drug. What was immoral was purchasing the patent for that drug and greatly increasing the price of it so that it made it very difficult for people to get access to it. Because usually when someone is prescribed that drug, it's usually a life-threatening situation. And usually people, they initially get their treatment at a hospital, but then they typically have to stay on that drug for a couple of months or so. And it's used for people that have suppressed immune systems, which can happen to anyone who has a suppressed immune system, whether you're taking steroids or if you're on a immune suppressant drug like specialty drugs, things of that nature, like if you have rheumatoid arthritis or lupus or plaque psoriasis, whatever suppresses the immune system. You can be susceptible, unfortunately, to different types of parasitic infections. And this is a drug that would help you get over that parasitic infection. Also, cancer patients and HIV/AIDS patients also use this drug because sometimes they are made susceptible due to a weakened immune system. They are made susceptible to parasitic infections. One of them is toxoplasmosis. And I'm probably mispronouncing that word, but I'm not familiar with all these infectious diseases and whatnot. But needless to say, this guy, he's an absolute moron, a jerk, and an idiot. Hopefully he's not like that anymore. But back in 2015, he purchased a patent, which is nothing new for businesses and hedge fund managers and people that are rich to purchase patents on drugs. What is uncommon and actually quite cruel is to purchase a drug that was, invented 50, 60, 70 years ago with the sole intention of greatly increasing the price of it just to make money off of people, even though in an interview, this Martin Shkreli, he said that they increased the price in order to do research and development to make a better drug. And it's like, well, if we need a better drug, you need to make that better drug first before you make it almost impossible for people to get access to the treatment that they need to stay alive and survive. So, needless to say, he is now in federal prison. He deserves to be there. But he did not go to jail for purchasing that patent and increasing the price, although that did make him susceptible for investigation. Because the way that the government viewed him, which was a very good way to look at him like this, if you're greedy in one area, you're probably greedy in committing a crime in another area. And he was already on the government's radar in terms of the Securities Exchange Commission and things of that nature because he had been working for, I guess, in the world of business for a few years. And he got in trouble, or at least got noted for, and when I say noted, I don't mean a good way. It got the SEC's attention when he bought or sold stocks in a very suspicious manner. And so they couldn't prove anything. And neither could his employer. But he went out on his own and founded his own pharmaceutical company, quote unquote pharmaceutical company, which to me, if you're not if you're not inventing a drug, if you're just buying up patents and driving up the price, you are not a pharmaceutical company and you're not a therapeutic company. You're just a greedy, whatever word you want to use. And, people don't need help with the prices of drugs going up. They need help with prices. They need them to go down to make them more affordable. And that's not socialized medicine, that's capitalism. If this guy actually wanted to help with treating diseases, he would have contacted researchers and scientists, and they would have already been working on a new drug. You don't buy up the current treatment and make it unavailable or make it very difficult to get access to. But needless to say, he did not go to jail for that stupid thing that he did because he has a problem with greed. He went to jail for securities fraud. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison, which he probably will be released either this year or next year. And he was fined in $72 million worth of fines. So whatever monies he made, he pretty much lost it all, and he deserved it. Normally, I don't say stuff like that, but in this case, he committed a lot of crimes. And he had a lot of victims. He really financially oppressed a lot of people, and he also financially targeted the chronically ill, people that are dying, and people that were suffering from infectious diseases. What he did was so bad that doctors and the medical profession, especially from research institutions, they contacted his company and said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this to our patients? Why are you doing this to this drug? This drug has been out since like 1952 or 62. And, we don't need the cost of it to go up. You're actually making it very difficult for us to treat our patients." And one doctor either spoke to him or wrote him a letter and said, "Hey, if you drive up the cost of this drug, which is what you have done, we're going to have to look at other drug therapies to try and treat these different conditions, most of them very serious infections. And here's the thing, these other therapies do not have the same efficacy. They don't have the same cure rate. They don't have the same mechanism. They don't have the same success rate." But this guy didn't care. He refused to drop the drug prices. And he either sold his company or gave it to somebody within his company. So I don't even know if they're still around anymore, but needless to say, what this guy did is a dime a dozen. There are so many people that get involved in modern medicine, that get involved in pharmaceuticals and drug patents for the sole purpose of just making money. I'm not against making money. I think everybody should make money. I think this guy, if he really wanted to help people, I would have no problem with him making millions or billions of dollars if he really wanted to help people. But he went about it totally the wrong way. And it shocked the planet what he did. And for someone so young, like he's my age. So to me, it made our generation look really bad. And I just thought, that is such a horrible, evil, wicked thing what he did. But I just want to mention this, being that I am a believer in Christ Jesus, I don't hate him. I hate what he did. You know what I mean? And so being that we are supposed to love everybody, that doesn't mean we excuse their behavior. We're supposed to pray for people. Especially for people that behave like this and they commit crimes, whether they are crimes against morality or they are illegal. That's why I have that policy that everything I do has to be legal and moral, because just because it's legal doesn't mean it's moral. Well, he broke both those rules. And what sucks with him is that, what sucks whenever you're committing a sin of any kind, technically, is that the moment you sell your soul out to do whatever you want, to go to the dark side, as they say. Whenever you do something that's immoral or amoral, you are running very quickly towards doing something that is illegal, which is where he got caught. So just because he purchased a drug patent and drove up the price, that's not illegal. It's immoral to do that. It's not illegal to purchase a drug patent. It's not illegal to want to charge people more money so that you can make a profit. Profit is not the problem. It's the love of money that was a problem for him. So he very much had, I don't know if he still has this issue because I don't know him personally and I've never interviewed him, not by any means, but I did see his interview on TV and I saw him at a Senate hearing or a congressional hearing, and they were trying to ask him questions about the drug that he purchased and why did he do this and please to reconsider what he's doing. And he just came across as a jerk. And to me, a moron, but also an arrogant, pompous, soul-sucking, evil, wicked person. that doesn't care about human life. Of course, if it was him that was dying, of course, he wouldn't want to be treated that way. So I just think it's kind of interesting if you put the shoe on the other foot and walk around in someone else's shoes for a day or two, more than likely that guy would have behaved totally differently. So again, it is legal to purchase patents. That happens every day, multiple times a day. And here's the thing. Hedge fund managers, the only reason why we hear about them and the really bad stuff that they do in the United States is because our law enforcement actually goes after those people. Now, whatever crimes are committed here in the United States is nothing compared to other countries. It's just not. And here's why. Hedge fund managers are just as evil or wicked in other countries. It's just that they don't get caught and or their government knows about them, but they just make money off of them. So the government in these other countries, they know that they can be paid off. So they know that, hey, they can threaten a hedge fund manager, hey, we know you're committing a crime, but if you just give us a piece of your change, we won't throw you in prison. That happens all the time. Like, you can pay off officials in other countries, is what I'm trying to say. That's called bribery. That's very common. It's just considered part of everyday life in other countries. That is not considered legal or moral or part of everyday life here in the United States, which is why we hear of these catastrophe situations, and it's really blown out of proportion by the media and things of that nature. But if only, let me put it this way, we haven't even scratched the surface of what bad hedge fund managers do. Not all hedge fund managers are bad people. In fact, some of them are quite good-natured people. But here's the thing, you get one bad one, it ruins the whole barrel, which is really, really sad. So anyway, what's interesting about this Martin Shkreli is that part of his sentence was that he is permanently banned from being a hedge fund manager, and he is permanently banned from ever owning a pharmaceutical company or purchasing patents on drugs. I completely agree with that. And if anything, if it was me, if I was the federal prosecutor on that, I would make it so that no hedge fund managers are ever allowed to create pharmaceutical companies or purchase drug patents. Drug patents need to be purchased by pretty much anybody else besides hedge fund managers, because hedge fund managers I think we've seen from this example that it's not good when they get involved in the money side of drugs. Drugs do cost money, and whether you have a socialized country, socialized medicine or not, they still cost money. The only reason why it's shocking to people is because we live in a capitalistic country. People are going to make money, and they have every right to make money. But, when you're driving up the cost of something by like 3,000 or 5,000%, that's not just making a profit, that's leasing and fleecing people. And that's a big problem. I am a capitalist, I am a Republican, I believe in democracy, I believe in freedom, but I know the difference between someone making a living and making a killing, as they say. There's a difference. And that phrase comes from working at car dealerships. Like, here's the thing. Whenever you go buy a car, there's a difference between someone making a living when they're selling you a car and then they're just ripping you a new one, right? So here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with making a living. There's nothing wrong with making millions or billions of dollars. If anything, that's a wonderful thing. It's very wonderful to be blessed in that manner. But if it's done the right way, it ruins it for everybody else. It really does. And also, it ruins it for yourself. And also, this guy, he's so young and stupid. He has forever ruined his reputation. Like, I don't know who's going to hire him when he gets out of prison. I would be very surprised. Because if anyone does a background check on him or researches his name, all they have to do is Google his name and all this stuff comes up about him. It's really sad. But I just wish more people would stop throwing their life away on a lie. And, having a love of money is believing in a lie. And the lie in that is that thinking that money is more important than people, and it is not. People are more valuable than money. Because people will make you money. Money can't make you money. People make you money. Because people want to work. They want to earn a living. So, just FYI, I wanted to clear up who that hedge fund manager was, what he did, what exactly happened. There were some things he did that were perfectly legal. It happens all the time. As long as something's legal, I don't have a problem with it. I may not completely agree with it myself, but if something's legal, it's legal for a reason. Now, he went to jail for securities fraud, which is a whole different ballgame. But he obviously has some issues. So if anything, we just need to pray for him. But anyway, moving on to the lovely state of Hawaii. We're going to discuss their Superfund sites here real quick. And they don't have very many. And the reason why is because they are an island. And I will go ahead and list off the one that is already cleaned up and good to go. So the first Superfund site that is currently in the state of Hawaii is Del Monte Corp, the food people, like the people that make those canned fruits and things like that. That's who they are. And it's a plantation. I can't pronounce it, but it's OAHU plantation. So this is listed as a Superfund site. It is located in the county of Honolulu. It does not give me a population, but I see a very beautiful photo of it, and it is absolutely beautiful. I need to go visit there. Excuse me. So the reason for this one being a Superfund site is soil and shallow groundwater at the site have been contaminated with the fumigants EDB, DBCP, and DCP, the solvents TCP and benzene, and the pesticide lindane. Now this one was added to the national priorities list. That's going to be December 16th, 1994. The next one located in Hawaii is Naval Computer and Telecommunications Area. That one is located in Honolulu as well, the county of Honolulu. The issue with this one is soil contamination in different areas by PCBs, volatile organics, semi-volatile organics, and metals. It was added to the list May 31st, 1994. The next one is Pearl Harbor Naval Complex. This one is located also in the county of Honolulu. The issue with this one is soil, groundwater, and sediment are contaminated with metals, organic compounds, and petroleum hydrocarbons. This one was added to the list October 14th, 1992. Now the one that has been deleted from the national priorities list and is cleaned up and good to go is called Schofield Barracks, and it's from the U.S. Army. It is also located in the county of Honolulu. The issue with that one was groundwater contains trichloroethylene. Let's see. This one was added to the list. Let's see, that's going to be August 30th, 1990. And it was cleaned up and good to go by August 10th, 2000. So that is it for today's podcast. It's kind of short and sweet. There are some other things that are going on with Hawaii in terms of debris and pollution. Like, for example, they have marine debris, meaning things wash up on the shore. They have a ton of plastic solution because there's so many things being dumped in the ocean, and then it just makes its way to their island basically because this stuff is swishing around, being moved around in the ocean, in the current, and then it washes up on their shore, and it's very harmful to the ocean and to the marine life. And so we really need to work on not dumping anything in our oceans. That I don't understand why anyone would ever do that, but that's very horrible. I mean, that's just not being a good steward of this planet, and that very much disappoints me that anyone would dump garbage in the ocean, because you're basically destroying our planet, which is really horrible and a cruel thing to do. I don't think it's right to do that. But anyway, needless to say, there are a lot of things that we can do to help our planet, help clean it up, and be good stewards of what God has given us. But until next time, I pray that you're happy, healthy, and whole, that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Thank you so much. God bless.